One of the most loved features on iOS is dark mode, the ability to tap a button in settings and see your app using primarily dark colors. This is particularly useful at night or in low light environments where too much light would be a stress on your eyes. As an iOS developer, it's your job to make sure your app supports dark mode and that it looks just the way you want to in dark mode. Luckily for us, Luke has already spec'd out how the app should look in dark mode, including some changes to the background color and some other elements. We just need to implement this with SwiftUI. So join me and let's feel the power of the dark side.
If you remember earlier, there was this button to the right of Preview called Inspect Preview. We use this to change the dynamic type to a couple different sizes to show you how you can do that. Well, there's another thing you can change here called the color scheme, and you can change that to dark or light. So let me change that to dark here. And it looks messed up here, and we'll show why that is later on, but I just want to scroll down to the previews here and see what it did for us. It added this line of code automatically to set the preferred color scheme to dark. So now that I know how to make the content view switch to dark mode, I'm just going to rearrange this a little bit so I can have one set of previews that's light mode portrait, light mode landscape, and another one which is dark mode portrait, dark mode landscape. So let me just paste those lines of code there. And this first one, I want it to be light mode, so I don't need that line. And then the second set, I want both of them to be dark mode, so I'm just going to make sure that line is in both. So now we should have four previews: light mode portrait, light mode landscape, dark mode portrait, although it is looking messed up, which we'll fix, and then dark mode landscape. Okay, so the reason this looks messed up is because when you switch from light mode to dark mode, by default, some of the controls you paste in change their color automatically. So the text changes from black in portrait to white on dark mode. Our background is something we set manually to that nice blue color, and so that's going to be the same color on dark mode because we haven't told SwiftUI to do anything differently, and so it just doesn't look right. And luckily, this is where the asset catalog comes to the rescue. And this is one of the other advantages of asset catalog that I mentioned in the other video. So let's go back to the asset catalog and click on our background color. So remember when we set this up, we had set appearances to none. The default was to have two different colors, one for any and one for dark. So any means not dark mode, light mode in other words, and this is what shows up in dark mode. So all we got to do for the background color is set up a different color for dark mode. So if we go back to Luke's design, let's look at what he has as the background for dark mode. So here's the color, 1919. So we can go back, change this from floating point to hexadecimal, paste this in, and now we have two different values for the background color. So we can go back to contentviews.swift, Command Option P to refresh our previews. And now we can see that we're using a dark background in dark mode, and it's actually looking fairly good for default color-wise here, thanks to SwiftUI automatically changing the colors for us for certain built-in styles.